And then I will share my screen. And then once it's shared, if you want to let people in. Beautiful. All right, well, thank you. That was Carol performing a piece from Chopin's Nocturne. So welcome everyone to Radical Connections, cultivating hybrid roots between ecosystems of arts and healthcare. So this event is presented as part of Blueprints for a Hopeful Future, a symposium by Neighborhood Arts Ottawa. Neighborhood Arts Ottawa is a community-engaged arts residency and mentorship program run by Arts Network Ottawa and funded by the Ontario Trillium Foundation and the Ottawa Community Foundation. So thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Madeline, and I am program coordinator for Neighborhood Arts. Arts Network Ottawa, as well as the organizations and individuals behind today's event, are located on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe, who are the past, present, and future caretakers of this land. I know many of you are joining us from elsewhere. If you would like to write into the comments right now and let us know where you're joining us from, what land and what territory, you are welcome to do so. It would be great to know where people are joining us from today. Okay, so before I hand things over to our esteemed presenters and panelists, a few housekeeping items. Sorry, I'm just going to check in. All right, yes, good on some housekeeping. So there is a live transcription that has been turned on, so you should see closed captioning at the bottom of your screens. In case not, the details for how to turn these on are being dropped into the chat right now, and you can turn them on by clicking a button at the bottom of your screen and selecting show subtitles. So that is for the closed captioning. In case you're ever disconnected from the session, you can always follow the link provided and it should bring you right back. But if you do encounter additional technical difficulties, you can reach out to my colleague, Alex. So he's available in the chat, but he's also available by email if need be. So his email will be dropped into the chat right now. And then another feature I want to orient you to that we will be using today before we get started is a word cloud generator called Slido. So the link will be in the chat. And if you click on that, it will open a page where you can answer questions to help inform today's session. So a first question should be visible on your screen. The question being, in a word or a short phrase, what were you most curious about coming to the launch of Radical Connections today? Sorry, so one more time. In a word or a short phrase, what were you most curious about coming to the launch of Radical Connections today? So please take a moment now to answer. And you can either do so in the Slido, though if that isn't working for you, you're also more than welcome to add your responses to the question into the chat. And I will share my screen so we can all view the question together, and also we can see the answers as they trickle in.
And we can answer a bunch of times if we have more than one answer?
100%. And as many answers as your heart desires. All right, so in a short word or phrase, what were you most curious about coming to the launch of Radical Connections today? So we have what it will do for patients, sharing with others, the network, opportunities for collaboration. How do we connect? What will be radical? How these two fields of health and art intersect. All right, well, keep putting your answers in, and as you do, please also let us know if there's anything else that we can do today to make sure that your participation in this is feasible and well supported. If there's any adjustments, accommodations that can be made, please do let us know, and we'll do our best to make those happen right now and going for the meeting to make, yeah. So if there's anything, do let us know. You can unmute yourselves or you can type it into the chat. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing this one screen because we will come back to different questions. And I'm going to turn things over to CJ Fleury, who will get us started. So thank you again so much for joining us. And CJ, the floor is yours.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on this steamy afternoon. What I want to do is I want to take you through the website. So we're going to look at the front page first. I don't know how many people have had a chance to go through the website. So if I want to see this, yeah, so here's the landing page. Anytime that you're using the website, you can always just get back to the front page by clicking on the logo. And if you, we will scroll down, but I just want to introduce you to, there are drop-down menus under For Artists and under For Healthcare and under Connections. And there are more things coming. I would say we have published about 85%. And a lot of what we experience today, we hope will, it is an evolving site. It is about cultivating systems, bridging sectors, bridging cultures, bridging opportunities, employing artists, celebrating elders, inspiring and being inspired by elders, and really speaking publicly and enthusiastically about culture's place and wellness. It was actually an existing and growing movement, but there doesn't seem, Carol and I have been working on this for about close to a year formally on this, but with the other 2 years when I was in the Carol Wiebe Artist in Residence position, mostly at St. Vincent Complex Care Hospital. And what we've realized is you really have to search far and wide to get the information. So I'm just going to run you through the website, kind of introduce you to these things. Just, yeah, scroll down, please. Briefly, improving care to strengthen communities is a big community focus here. The mission statement is on the front page and also on the next page about us that we're going to look at. All the people that are photographed here have given us permission. You can see the buttons that are scattered everywhere. In my brain, this is what our project looks like, this kind of the brain that is there, that's right brain and left brain thinking. All the artists know about this. And we are speaking across languages and levels of understanding of symbols and technical stuff and human capacity. So there's, for 30 years, I've been exploring how it is we work across disciplines and break through silos. So I just want to say that if you feel that you're learning a lot of new, if you're going up new steps today, you're in the right place, because that's very much part of this kind of work. And then as we scroll down, a kind of more invitation, or how we'll be infusing this kind of creative energy across both fields. And I've tried to design the project to address the way artists might read what we're doing and the way healthcare people, as well as families or patients, might read into the project. And so we'll go from here. There's another button, and all the buttons have different questions, and they we hope that all the buttons open up in a new page and don't take you away from what we're looking at. And down below at the very bottom is the most fun thing that I think everybody would agree with. In the age of lifelong learning, creative engagement is the new fitness class, because there is a certain demographic. So I'd like now to go to Connections and the About Us, and scroll right down to the logo page, because the logo is the symbol that really talks about what we're doing. We, as an arts ecosystem or a healthcare ecosystem, are functioning within the environmental system and the state of the way things are now. I actually think of this as the adaptation period, although I haven't seen it on a gajillion Facebook pages. But anyways, the roots are really important. The roots as are the critical meaning, are the actual meaning of the word radical. The hands always show up when you're talking about care, but in this case, the hands are also the hands of artists, the hands of makers, the hands of people that might be in residential or hospital settings, activating their hands, whether they're making or applauding or writing. And then the arc of the leaves speaks to diversity on many levels. And so not only is the whole corporation that has been, nonprofit corporation that has Radical Connections been set up, not only does it have many layers, but also the logo has many layers. And then within this colored art, this rainbow art, whether it's hope or diversity or paint colors, is this empty space. And it's the space to be in, the space for us to be in, the space to recognize and celebrate and collaborate with elders or people in residential care, a space for performances, a studio space, a space to have conversations and grow what we have. So your coming today is very much part of this. So we can go to the For Artists page, for instance, and just look at getting started. You'll notice that the picture here, if you're an artist, you probably will feel very comfortable with a number of artists have generously let me use their images on this website. So we'll scroll down, healthcare, a critical site for culture, as I'm talking about the arts are a major contributor for quality of life. We'll just move down a little bit just so you can see. So right away, it's kind of like a gallery walk, but at the same time, we'll just stop here for a minute. Not only is it a gallery walk, but it's also kind of looking into what the activities or what kind of things might be happening during the residency. And then we'll go down. And so on the For Artists Getting Started, it's got the you are, and ideally you are experienced with. There's a kind of parallel thing on the For Healthcare Getting Started that we'll take a look at. We'll just scroll down here a little bit more. Hopefully what your experiences are, whether you're in, music or whatever discipline, artistic discipline that you're working in, there is room for you to work in healthcare. What are the things that you would need to know before you go? A lot of them are there. And if you have more questions, please don't hesitate to either add to the Slido of what you're curious about, or look into any of the buttons to ask questions, or 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 days after this presentation, you are more than welcome to connect to us through the info, through the website, which is info@radicalconnections.ca. You will be building community. So if you come to this project and you haven't worked in healthcare, but you've done a lot of community collaboration, you already have a certain state of readiness. And we'll go down a bit more. Yep. Flex your creative muscles was a great expression that Carol used. And below are some bronze birds that exist at the Gary J. Armstrong Long-Term Care Center. And in Kate Proctor's book, she talked about, I think that was where I got this quote, that we all have different tropes for different kinds of teenagers. Well, it's the same thing in long-term care. There are completely different kinds of people, and it's wildly fascinating to work with these people. And I wish I had started this. No, it's Jennifer's book. Yes, Jennifer's quote rather. Anyways, fantastically important quote. And I would like to draw attention to these two videos that are just below here. The one on the left could be 85% of your orientation if you want to do this kind of project. And the one on the right is a really exciting approach by this artist in the Midwest called Jeff Notchtagill. He has done wildly exciting stuff. So now we'll move to artists and For Artists, the next, Connect with Healthcare. So this goes a little bit deeper into the kind of information you might need to know if you are working with healthcare. You can click on that, please. Yeah, so there we are, bringing our ideas into healthcare. And the healthcare workers are probably going, oh dear, what's happening? But they love us after we've been there for a little bit of while, and then they see what we're doing. So I thought that was a really humorous picture. Creative muscles, you all have them. You all probably have been flexing them for your life, maybe through your childhood. And you already have a lot of skills that you might not even know you have. And I really think that's an important thing to recognize for all the different sectors here, to recognize that artists really do come prepared, probably much more than they or you can even imagine. A few more things about what your background might be, what brings you into this. This is just a much more of an information type page. And then we move back to the picture at the bottom. Oh, mentoring if you need mentoring. And then this is what I feel like when I'm talking about this project. Maybe you do too, but this is how many ideas are going on for the potential of this kind of collaboration. Flows of good arts energy. So we can move to healthcare, getting started, and just kind of peruse this. Yes, here I am. So they'll be looking for us and we are looking for them. And there's a lot of looking into them. And if you are a healthcare person, hopefully you are open-minded, welcoming, you have a natural ability to connect or to accept ideas about connection, and that you're looking forward to encouraging the residents. These are really little points that are meaty things to connect to. Having a studio is really important. If there are, it should be almost like, I lust after the physiotherapy rooms when I see all the space given to them. Yes. And we could go down to the bottom. And just a simple project that was done with children that could easily be done with elderly or people in residential care. Again, bringing us back to environmental connections. And then all through the project, there are quotes from studies and from books that we've been reading and on the topic. And we could go to the next line in healthcare. I think I need to stop soon. Connecting with artists. There we are all, each one of us, every different. And little bits of information for healthcare, keep going down please, about the kind of things that would be happening if you hired people from different disciplines. And there are many more than this, but I just wanted to give, keep going down please, the type of information or the type of connection and all kinds of links so you can further be researched. And lots of fun to be had. And if we go once again down to the bottom of healthcare, you can see, if you go under the heading, please, Maddo, there's create a studio and create a gallery space. And while I have these under the healthcare headings, all the artists or any of the funders or administrators, please do visit these 2 pages because they really show so much information about the wealth of experiences that can be given to people in care, things that can also help them to be seen for who they are, as whole people, not just the challenges that they're facing in terms of health. I think I should stop now. I can answer any other questions. In connections, there's a big research page, and don't hesitate to ask us any questions, either to connect through the Slido, the chat, or any letters to, at any time of day or night, to info@radicalconnections.ca. We'll get back to you for sure. Thanks. And
wow. I have to say I'm tremendously excited and inspired on an hourly basis by working with CJ. I'm going to take a little bit of a step back. That website it gives you an idea of the this project could become very unfocused, and I think it is important to just give a bit of an explanation. CJ is a very well-established community artist. A lot of you already know that. I'm a family doctor with an expertise in care of the elderly, who's just in the process of finishing an MBA. And so we're hoping to bring together all of those, our background. And I'm very aware that healthcare needs some serious transformation. We all know what the last year has done for our elders, and that there needs to be, I mean, it's just, there's already investment starting to flow into transforming care for elders. And we think the arts has to be center to that. And one thing I've learned from working with artists is I could use my colloquial language, but I'll just say they like to change the world and to get things done. And I think that bringing artists into healthcare is not just the beautiful stuff that we're all thinking about, but it's also an opportunity to have really important people part of that transformation journey. So we're very excited about doing this. We want to inspire people to join. We want to invite people to join, and that's part of, you'll see the website was set up almost like a matchmaking site, and that was quite deliberate. We want to bring people from both worlds together. We want to really encourage research and education in the area, and we want to promote it. And I know I saw some concern about funding. That's one of the big things about this. Everybody is excited about bringing more of the arts into healthcare, but how do we fund it? And we have some ideas there. We still need funding. We have to convince arts organizations that healthcare is community and public space. We have to convince healthcare that there's actually a business case to be made for hiring artists to work in your space, because you're going to have staff that's much happier, so improved staff retention, and you're going to have patients who get better quicker and require less medication and less transfers out to acute care and have fewer injuries. So there's just, I think we have to convince on both sides in order to keep this funding going and to keep it sustainable. So I think I need another Slido question. We want to get your feedback on something, because we're bringing together two very diverse worlds. There's common arts terms and there's common healthcare terms. We use acronyms so much in healthcare. People need to cross these worlds. So we want people from your own world. Imagine somebody encountering your work for the first time. What term or acronym might they hear that you would need to explain, and enter the word or acronym? We've got to start with PSW. LTC. And we use these all the time. These are healthcare, your personal support worker, your long-term care. Yes, PC does not just refer to politically correct, it's also palliative care. I want some arts terms in here too. So these are terms that we'll build a glossary. That's one of the things that's not live yet on our site, but we'll be getting that live, and we'll use your feedback to make sure these terms are in there so that we can explain them to people. I'm not going to try and explain them all now because I want to make sure we have time for our presenters today. I haven't heard of that one, Linda. I see that in the chat. EXA is expressive arts. That's great. Looking at the time, I think it's time to introduce our first. I'll hand it over to you, CJ, for our first.
Well, okay, great. I have to tell you, I'm totally interested in this presentation. I have had the pleasure, the interesting adventure of working with Oscar Para, who can tell you what his whole name is. He has been a mentee and a digital friend for over a year. We started before the pandemic, and we with Carol designed a project called People Who Love People that he will tell you about. I think he'll be speaking in English, French, and Spanish. And he was his mentorship was supported through Arts Network Ottawa. And we did have to pivot because he was supposed to work in the hospital, and then the pandemic started. And so you're going to hear about what he did. Take it away, my talented friend.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Esto es una prueba para ver si hay alguien que habla español y me entiende. Okay. Okay, it was just a test to see if there is any Spanish speaker, but I want to try to do it in English then. Hello, everyone. I would like to start saying that for me it's an honor and a joy to be here with you. Thanks to everyone who make it possible. Thanks to Dr. Wiebe and thanks to CJ, as she say, she's my mentor. And thanks for inviting me. So who I am and what I do. My name is Oscar Para, and I'm an artist who uses the photography as a way of expression. As you have may notice, I am an immigrant, and I came to Canada 5 years ago. And since then, I could say that the process of self-knowledge hasn't stopped. So today I would like to share my presentation. Just a second. Oh, I lose it. Just 1 second, please. Okay, now you can see it. Hello?
I don't see it yet.
No.
You see it?
Might have
Yeah.
to share you.
Okay. So one day I just told myself, like, the language and the cultural barrier could not be an obstacle, not anymore for me. So with my camera in hand and with a huge need to connect quickly and honestly with people, I start go outside to the streets to take a picture of strangers. So from this practice, many things arose. First, the spiritual well-being of connecting immediately with people. Second, the feeling of, I began to feel in a part of a social, this society. I start to feel in the, how you say, the sense of social belonging. And also this practice gave birth different projects like portraits in summer portraits in New York subway, Les Inconnus, We Are All Immigrants, the next one, and the last one, People Who Love People. So People Who Love People is a photographic project which intends to pay tribute to the healthcare workers for the dedication with their labor for what they have been doing during the pandemic time. This project comes to the light within a framework of a mentorship created by Arts Network Ottawa and with Bruyère Foundation also. So briefly, the process went like this. Once after Bruyère's accepted the idea project, Bruyère suggested some names of employees from different residences, and I contact them, and we arrange a meeting outside of the hospital or elsewhere. It depends of each participant. And once the appointment date arrived, we had a 30 minutes informal discussions in which they told me how they had experience about the pandemic. I mean, professionally and personally. And I also asked them to describe this experience in just one word. And after this talk, we started taking a couple pictures, just like looking for the portrait. So in total, there are 12 participants. So 12 portraits that make up the People Who Love People permanent collection of Bruyère Hospital and St. Vincent and St. Louis residences. So what did I learn from this project? People Who Love People is a project that I had in Istanbul a few years ago, in which I had the idea to find in those people who every day with the small or big actions are looking for help others. So after many difficulties to realize this project because of the pandemic situation, I could have my first meeting with my first participant. And okay, on va changer en français un peu pour pouvoir parler en français. Ça va être plus facile. So, une fois, j'avais mon rendez-vous avec cette personne. J'avais préparé tout. J'avais tout planifié, ma caméra, mes batteries, plusieurs mémoires, un cahier, pour s'il y avait quelque chose qui sortait pas bien. Mes feuilles avec les questions qui allaient guider toute la conversation. Mes 2 vaccins. Et puis, il y avait une chose que j'avais pas vraiment prévue à ce moment-là, puis c'était de rencontrer une personne aussi belle comme le monsieur Wonderwall Santafera. Lui, il vient de l'Éthiopie. C'est une préposée à la résidence 125. Et Et je me rappelle que les questions, les réponses que lui avait pour mes questions, c'était comme des l'essence de vie instantanée. Il y avait une énergie qui émanait, qui me remplissait vraiment d'amour puis d'espoir vers l'humanité. I remember that I told him at the end of our talk that, you know, Mr. Wonderwasson, I think your name came to the union of two words, wonderful and blossom. And she just started laughing about my compliment. So yeah, the realization of this project was a little box of pleasant surprises, like the meeting that I have with Sama Sassi, Lalande, and Brenda Gonzalez, in where tears were not lacking. It was very emotional. And after every encounter, I came back to home fulfilled with the sensation of having been in the right place. I learned a lot I'm gonna take off this. I learned a lot about the reality that some patients live, the function that some workers, healthcare workers perform. I was inspired by the spirit of team solidarity that inhabits them in their routine. The continued dedication that they maintain daily to care or help or accompany, not only physically but spiritually. And I also confirmed that that the easiest way to approach happiness is dedicate ourselves to others, dedicate oneself to others. So I think we live in a community. So if we dedicate ourselves to others, others will dedicate themselves to us. So I think it's a beautiful equation. So yeah, this project gave me a unique opportunity to get to know more about the reality around the world of healthcare. It also makes me think about how arts and health need to work very closely. The artistic expressions play a role, an important role in the well-being of each one in the society, in a community. So when we see beauty, we recognize it. So we recognize it immediately. So it moves us, it drives us, it wakes a desire, emotion, longing. It was a new word that I learned. And I think that a body could be sick, but if the spirit is nourished, it is strong, there is hope, right? So music therapy, plastic art, literature, dance, theater are a powerful tools for the being of for the well-being of everyone in a society. So so for the relationship between health and art be lasting and harmonious, we need an artist, project managers, hospital directors, politicians, everyone committed with the cause. That is why we must support and continue creating programs such as Ottawa Art Mentorship programs, so that more established artists like CJ and emerging artists like me could work hand in hand with institutions like Bruyere to continue creating a strong social fabric that will benefit us all. So
I think, Oscar, that's a beautiful place to end. I've been stunned by your images. I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off a little bit. I'd like to
10
make
minutes.
sure you actually said so much in that short time, and your photographs said even more. I'm really looking forward to that full exhibition that really honors the healthcare workers and what they went through with the pandemic. Thank you so much.